Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the coaching community, the book business bosses, as well as the host.
Well, I guess it's my turn. Hello, everybody. My name is Patricia Hairston, Minister Patricia Hairston, either. I'm located in Seattle, Washington. You can find me under my name, Patricia Hairston, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Hello, my name is David Smith, pastor of the New Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church, located here in Houston, Texas. Our address is 9126 Jensen Drive, and our website is www.newbethlehem.org. And also to my right is...
I'm Linda Smith. I'm the First Lady at New Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church here in the great city of Houston, Texas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Robert Hassel. I am hailing from Nashville, Tennessee. I am so privileged to be here. I am the lead pastor at the Summit Church Nashville. You can follow us on Facebook at the SC Nashville. I also serve as the president of the Celebration of Praise School of Ministry and Seminary, headquartered in Albany, Georgia. You can visit our site at copsomis.org. And also you can visit the church's website also at www.thesummitchurchnashville.org.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dion Norris. I live in Jeffersonville, Indiana. And you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and several different sites. And also a Big Ben.
All right. I think, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yay, great. The devil is a liar. Say that one more time, Dion. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said, my name is Dion. I live in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I work with several different ministries, and I also write music and Jefferson.
Great. Oh, okay. So I had to put a plug in right there. That's great barbecue. So I know it's great in Texas. I've had Texas barbecue, believe you me. But that's some good stuff in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Okay, I got to come out of that. Dr. Lisa Lee Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Dr.
Lisa Williams.
And you can find me on Facebook by my name, Instagram, Twitter, however you want to reach me. I do consulting to churches and nonprofits in the area leadership and organizational development. I recently wrote the first book, The Power of Unity, Confronting Conflict in Church Leadership Teams. Yeah, it was a long time coming, but I think it's something that is very strategic to where we are right now and trying to figure out what our common unity is in the body of Christ. But anyway, that's my good evening to you, and thank you so much for having me, Julia.
All right. Can you all hear me now again? Yay! Yes. All right. I don't know what's going on with my other thing, but we just gonna get rid of that. When one won't do, another one will. My grandfather used to say. Okay. So my first question is, we are the church that's been out of the building. So now it's time to either go back in the building. Now that's a judgment call everybody's made. Because you all are from every kind of, I tried to get them, except the East Coast, I tried to get some major regions of the world. So, that is a judgment call, and this is a no judgment zone. So whether you are, whether you aren't, whether you're taking temperatures, whatever you're doing, that's left up to everyone else. And that's left up to your individual church, what you're doing. So that's not our discussion. Our primary discussion is, number one, the church has been in the world and has not, as a collective, everybody can be able to come in together in the building for a solid year. And the doctors on the panel can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can create a new habit in 21 to 30 days, correct? Absolutely. So therefore, some people have started new habits. So how do we get them to come back to the building? How do we get the church that's been in the world to come back to the building? So who wants to start? Or do you think it's going to be an issue? Maybe that is no issue. You just got to say who can come, and they're going to be running in the doors. Or is that an issue?
I'd like to start. It's okay. Can you turn it up a little bit, Julie? I can barely hear you.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me better now. Yes?
No, ma'am. But I'll go ahead anyway.
Okay.
I've spoken with a lot of people, my friends across the country, and they're really hesitant about running back into the building right now. They feel like most people need to have their vaccinations. And a lot of churches are having virtual services, but they're not doing the necessary things they need to do to sanitize the church.
Right.
And a lot of the seniors are really skeptical about going back right now. And I kind of agree with them because if everybody CDC is saying that you can get around people who have been vaccinated. And there's a lot of people who really don't want to take the vaccination. So you still can affect someone. And I think it would help, if we as church members and leaders will get out and send information to the congregation about what they're doing. even prepare a video to show the church being clean and how it's going to operate during the service and before the service. Those type of things will really help.
Okay. So anybody else with a comment on that? I know we're having some sound issues. It's primarily probably for me and having sound issues. So I'm going to mute myself so that hopefully the echo is not coming through there. But anyone else want to comment on that?
I feel as if I think we will have a time getting people mobile again. They so used to being in the bed now, just pushing the button for the TV as we're on Facebook, social media, being able to actually look at social media. I think it will have a effect of people getting up to go to church like they used to. As they say, this Sunday, I'll go first and third or second and fourth. If I wake up, if I don't feel a need that I feel like getting up to go, they'll just hit the button. So I think it will be a sense of, do we continue with the Facebook? Do we continue being in person? Do we cut Facebook out? I think now it will begin to be done on both ways.
Exactly. I agree. Does anybody else have a comment such as that?
I do. I think that when we look at dynamic of ministry and going back into the building, as pastors, the people that we've seen prior to the pandemic, some of them may very well not come back. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is we have to structure our ministry programming and our efforts in unconventional ways to meet the dynamics of all the parishioners and congregants that we serve. This is a opportunity of a lifetime because it pushes us out of what we know as church, being everything that we do in those four walls, and gives us the opportunity to create and innovate in spaces that we have neglected because we've been so fixated on what we do in the building. It also gives us a chance to really cross the intergenerational divide and reach those teens, those millennials, those Generation Xers, those Generation Zs, and be able to connect in ways that they were previously left out. It is an opportunity to really delve into and learn how to adapt our methods to change the way that we become effective in ministry and the way we impact and leave imprints on people's lives, not only with the gospel of Jesus Christ, but with the establishment of community. Yeah. So that's been paramount.
Yes. And I would say that's my question for the organized church. What lessons has this pandemic actually taught us? When we think about the ministry that Jesus provided, it was not in a building. It was eclectic, and it was broad, and it was varied depending on the community in which he was engaging at the time. In one place he fed folks, in other places he healed folks, in other places he called folks to help themselves. So when I think about the question, what will bring us back into the church? My question is, what the building isn't the church. So what have we been doing for a year? Where is our outreach? How are we understanding outreach? Just as Dr. Hassel was saying, how do we understand relationship building? And how have we allowed ourselves to be stretched to build community in this environment? Because those are things that'll last beyond today. Those are things that impact, allow our Christian faith to impact the world bigger than where we congregate for the worship. And so I'm like, amen on that. Amen on that. Who are we, the church, in the midst of this? And the other thing that this season has revealed to me is how we assess who our leaders are. Those that have the passion and the capacity to carry the gospel message in practice. When we look at the young people that are out here protesting, they're protesting with a passion, and many of them are young Christian men and women. But we have these constructs in our churches that may not make room for them to lead. I'm just saying, that's all I have to say. Amen.
Well, but it does. And when you have a, when you have a crisis, and when you have such a major change, and then you do find out who you're leading. Now, that's no indictment on anyone, because none of us have been in a pandemic before. Right. So, just to say you're wrong or that was wrong, that's not our conversation, because for us, none of us have been in a pandemic. So really, this was kind of a test from the teacher to know how we would respond. And when I taught school, they used to tell us, now we're going to have a fire alarm, and it's going to be Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and they would warn the teachers, this is what we're going to do. And then we would prepare the kids, and we said Tuesday at 10 we're going to have a fire alarm, and here's what the noise is going to be like, and here's what's going to do. And then the tornado drill is here, and then the invader drill is that. But we didn't get the invader drill. We didn't get the tornado drill was going to be this. So we really don't know what we are and what we have until we're actually in a crisis. We don't know what actually would be done until we get in a crisis. And so that, we struggle with that whole leadership process, and not condemning anyone, but what does that look like? You rise. As they say, the cream rises to the top, and then we're actually able to see what you will do, what you can do, and what actually happened. Does that make sense? So, Pastor Smith, you have been in management, not just pastoring. You have been in management roles, supervisory role in Houston, Texas. Okay, one of the largest metropolitan areas. It's always a frustration every time I go to Houston, because it's going to take me 45 minutes to an hour to get anywhere. I don't care where we're going to eat. I don't care if we're going to a church. I don't care if we're just going back to the hotel. It's going to take me 45 minutes to get there. So when you're talking about a city of that size, and I know you're retired from the city, but you play a mega role in the community in that area. So what have you learned looking back? Okay, we've done the year. What has been just a couple of things that has really shown you, or something you and sister, because you and First Lady are like two peas in a pod. So riding along in the car, what are two things that you say, okay, when I do my ministerial leadership, or when we get ready to come back together for ministerial leadership, or what that looks like for just administratively, or the members together, what are one or two real important things that you feel like are just utmost important, that you just, it's either got to be different or even re-emphasized?
I think one of the things in our is communication. We have to communicate with the expectation. I think once people understand what it looks like going back into the building, I think if they understand the safety measures according to the CDC guidelines, I think when my wife and I took the shot, and from here in Houston, UT Physicians, and so we took the vaccine shot, to make sure that what we say, we were going to be the models. How important that is to trust the science. There's been some doubt, but like I told them, when we go to the doctor, you don't question the doctor, you don't question the prescriptions that they give you. You trust the science, you trust their medical prescriptions, or the medical field. Let me just say that. And so we need to trust this vaccine so we can all be safe. So one of the things I think is important with us is that we communicate. Secondly, is working with other entities. You'd be surprised that when this pandemic happened, it opened up with working with the medical field. It opened up with working with schools. It opened up with working with other community leaders. And everybody came together because the need. We were meeting needs. It wasn't about if you were a Christian. It did not determine what your religion was. We were meeting the needs of the people. And so I think with that being said, those are two of the things that my wife and I, we were talking, and even my ministry leaders, that when we move back into the church, we understand everybody's not going to come back. but we're meeting a broader audience now with having both platforms, the in-person as well as the social media part of it. So I think that's very important when that's going in.
I said, when we have met periodically and just going through your book, Family Matters, we talked about, I said, you never know in social media, when you share it, you never know who's going to join you. You never know who's going to want to be a part, who may not necessarily have been a part of a church fellowship or a fellowship body who's connects with your ministry. And I know that you all have had e-church members, and so has Dr. Hassel had e-church members to join. And I know I saw the formal certificate from Dr. Hassel. So what does that look like moving forward as far as communication goes? Because they're not necessarily, unless they made a special trip, gonna just pull up and be in the parking lot.
I think that with our church, particularly is an opportunity for our community to and it was really my assistant pastor, which I got to give him a personal shout out. Shout out to Pastor Toby Atkins, the greatest assistant pastor in the whole world, in my book. And we designed the model to extend to people who were in need of community, but more so connectivity to a body of believers. And this gave us an opportunity to touch those who had been in church, as well as those who had been out of church for a long time. It gave us the opportunity to bring them back in and reorient them into not only the foundations of the gospel, but allow them to experience holistically, which we cater towards the body, the mind, and the spirit. And that's what people were actually looking for. They were looking at a place to unfold, a place to belong, a place to really express the vulnerabilities that came with their humanity. Because when the pandemic hit, the first 6 months, people were still in shock that it actually happened. They were still in shock that they were out of jobs, they were working from home, that everything that was in their normalized life was now either brought to a halt or done in a non-traditional manner. So iChurch for us was a way to bring in continuity. It was also a way to bring in interconnectivity. Even though that we couldn't interact face-to-face, we were able to use applications such as Zoom. We were able to use Live, all of these group forums to really provide that personal connection, even without that tangible touch. And what I found to be paramount, particularly in this model or any iChurch model, is the weight or ministry of presence. You may not physically be in a building, but your presence is more than you just physically showing up. It's people seeing you, hearing you, and being able to connect a name with a face. And so that was very, very powerful, because people were able to establish bonds with each other, even out of state, before we ever physically touched, embraced, or engaged each other in that physical format. That creates for strong, solid bonds, and gives you the opportunity to really get to know the layers of people outside of the Heaven B3 organ, the click tracks, the lights, all of that rigmarole that goes along with the church. And it positions your pastors and leadership to be more tactile and available.
Pastor Smith, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's good what he's saying, because that's kind of basically what we did. And you know, while he was talking, I was thinking about the preparation prior to the pandemic, something we had done. And it was just thinking out of the box, because we were trying to help seniors understand how to use computers. So back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I had about 20 computers in our fellowship hall, and I had them to come to Bible study without a Bible, because what I was trying to teach them was how to use a computer, how to turn it on. So I had the kind of intergenerational, the young people trying to walk by the side, show them how to turn it on and all of that. But what that did when this pandemic came, it really wasn't, it was a shock to all of us. However, when we saying, okay, we got to go to Zoom now, we got to do conference calls, we have to go to Facebook, it wasn't really a shock because, and I had never been on Facebook from the ministry standpoint prior to this pandemic. My personal page, my wife's personal page, but never just ministry. But what that did, it just expanded and it helped us to stay connected because we have a passion for seniors. So it helped us to stay connected to those seniors. So I totally agree with everything that Dr. House was saying, that it does build community. It helps us to be in touch with each other, even though we're not in a building.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I want to switch gears just a little bit. We're still in ministry, but the music ministry. So Minister Patricia Hairston and Minister Dion Norris, I've got to ask from you all's perspective, the music ministry, which of course has gone hand in hand with the preaching ministry. And where have you all been? I know that Patricia, just tell me what your perspective is and what you've been doing in the Great Northwest.
Well, first I want to say I do have a single out. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. It's called Live for Jesus. It's available on all digital platforms. And I also have CDs available. But if you go to YouTube, wherever, CD Baby, Spotify, Live for Jesus by Patricia Hairston. The music ministry. I really like what Pastor Smith just said, preparation before the pandemic. That's a whole message. You could just preach right there, preparation before the pandemic. We really are seeking God to move and speak now, but realistically, he's always been moving and speaking, and he's been trying to prepare us in a lot of areas in ministry. One of the hardest things I find in the music ministry is it just depends on your pastor and your leaders, is to evolve your equipment, evolve, all that goes along with that. We, tend to raise money for the anniversaries and new robes at one point when we were wearing robes, or, but it's been a challenge. So I've led praise and worship for years in my church. I've led it on the council level, being of the apostolic faith. So we have councils, formerly Baptist conventions. I've done all of that. But still, even in those areas, even on the council level, it was so hard to say, well, we need a budget for proper mics. We need a budget for people to come in and be a part of the, at one point people would say, you don't need to put the words on the screen. We don't need screens. We don't need all that digital stuff. And even with Pastor Smith speaking about allowing people to leave their Bibles at home and reading the scriptures from their phone, learning how to do it on the computers. You have these leaders that say, computers are from the devil. We don't want to take away our tangible Bibles. And, so you can know, you as a person have to know the mindset of your leader, and you can tell if he's or she is listening and communing with God, because again, he's always speaking, right? So I just found it to be a challenge to get monetary donations, even when you put the budget together and you say you need this. And if your ministry does not work with the spirit of excellence, it's 10 times as hard, because they don't see the value in, well, these mics turn on and we can hear you. So, and you're saying, well, as a professional singer and just as a singer, I don't want to strain my voice. I don't want to yell over people. I don't need the feedback when the mics turn on and, things like that. So. Yeah, it's been a challenge.
It's hard, and that would be. Yeah. So even as a artist, so having to make sure that just the basic things, just like I tell authors, making sure your links are working, making sure people know how to actually support you with music and to be able to get the music, and it is what it is. It's still funding, it's still ministry support, it's still all of those types of things, because one of the things that I've seen, just because we can be online, I can be in 50 churches on Sunday at one pastor who's speaking, but the music ministry is still moving. It's still going forward. It's still, whether you're going live from your house or whether you're actually coming safely in the building, the music ministry is still moving. So, Dion, what does that look like moving forward? What does that look like for music ministry, even moving forward, going back in the building? How y'all gonna have rehearsal? How we gonna learn new music? What does that look like? Or are we just gonna have the praise team forever? Is the choir gonna come back, or what's gonna happen next?
Well, that's a big question. I have been thinking about a lot of things, and while the temperature is warm, it's possible to get together on the outside. And for those who feel comfortable coming in, then I still say you can wear your mask in rehearsal. I've tried singing on a Sunday morning with the mask, and it works. It really works. But the biggest thing that God has really shown me, Julia, is that we need to really learn how to seize the 167 hours beyond the church services and the Bible studies. Because, just being more of a church that has an outward ministry instead of a focus on the inward ministry. And it's so important, because with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that was going on, I feel like we as the church members, we need to help parents step up in the lives of their kids. And that could help a lot of the stuff that the kids, and especially our race, that goes through every day, and a lot of this shooting and the education and stuff like that. But I think the church can really play a part in that. And I feel like we have really fallen behind, because we have been focused on the building. You got to do this for the building, do that. You got to be at this service. You got to do that for that service. So I'm really liking the idea of community choir action again. And that's why God had given me a vision to actually put several churches together to form a community choir. There was fellowship there. People got to meet each other, and they found out what was going on in each other's churches, what their churches needed. And a lot of churches, I've worked at a lot of mega churches, and a lot of times we try to take on that form of a community choir. So a lot of the people, they don't want to get involved in the community choir because they got that right in church. But if in the church building, let me put it like that. And God forgive me, because I used to say God closed the churches. No, God didn't close the churches. He closed the buildings. The church has always been open. Yeah, so let me bring that correction. But I just think that moving forward musically, with rehearsals and stuff like that, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, you got that right. The church will always be moving.
It's going to be a challenge, especially if you work with a lot of seniors. Forward, musically, work with a lot of seniors.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be unique in the way it looks and the way it is gonna be. But I think the necessity is gonna create creativity. It's gonna create us to get outside the box and continue, like Pastor Smith says, continue to be with the community. Like Dr. Hassel says, it's still gonna that communication is going to continue to move forward. So last thing, Dr. Williams, I was coming to you.
Julia, before you did, I wanted to ask Dion. I wanted to ask Dion something that. I'm getting feedback. something that he said really struck me in terms of what music ministry can be in this season.
Something that he said,
and is music ministry an opportunity to birth song in others?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? When I heard you talking about community choir and young people needing pastoral musical leadership, I just heard music ministry in a whole different vein where we can bring people, young people, any people, and help them birth the song that God has placed in their heart. I don't know. I don't know if that was going down the stream you were headed down or not, but I just wanted to put that out there for consideration.
That was going down the stream you were headed down or not?
Yeah, that was the stream I was headed down, but I was headed down to the next stream. Where do we go from here? What's next? Do we have emergency plans and provisions for what's next? Is there a strategic planning session that needs to happen along with your regular planning for Sunday morning worship? What needs to happen next? What needs to be, thinking about media ministry. If you didn't have one before, do you need to establish one? Music ministry and media ministry and preaching ministry has always worked together. But what does that look like moving forward? Does that need to be totally different moving forward? Who wants to jump up first?
I think from an organizational perspective, this is the part, that's why it's called administration. That when we have the care of people in our hands, we have to be mindful of all things that impact people. I mean, right now, we have to be mindful of their safety. And if our churches haven't considered a legitimate safety plan that includes potentially armed security, we need to think about that. If we haven't, health, I think it's amazing that we're relearning some basic health practices that even after people are vaccinated, hand washing and being mindful of how we greet one another in the midst of communicable diseases is good practice. How do we carry that on? And how do we put budget aside as a part of caring for people? So I think, being purposeful, planning, we've heard a lot of that tonight, reevaluating what we've done and what we need to do, I think is all on point for where we need to go to be in, to get back into the church building itself and to continue to grow and experience ministry together.
I would like to, I think some churches.
Exactly. Anything anybody else want to add?
I wanted to say, I think some churches have access to the rapid COVID testing. So that would be, if the church still wants to come together, that would be an option. So when you come in to rehearse or you're coming to have a concert or just ministry, those that want to enter the building with the rapid testing, you can get the results back, rapidly. So that would be another safe thing to do. And hopefully there are a lot of small ministries. I hear the feedback as well. But if you don't have the means of what you need, hopefully that they will bring in what they need versus not knowing what they need and how to do it and trying to do it themselves. Hopefully they'll bring in someone to help them with that as well. And not following tradition all the time.
Exactly.
I remember
and not following tradition.
Being a minister and even having communion at that time years ago. I think it was in 2011, I got my license and they expected us all to drink from the same cup. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And, it was kind of deemed.
And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And, it was kind of deemed.
But it just wasn't sanitary. Me being in the medical field, and just how I am, that wasn't sanitary. So hopefully, people don't stick to traditions. They're more wise and are really concerned about people.
And I think also too that I think it would be good. I think it brings the church together. Like you were saying about
wise and are really
hopefully
concerned about people.
Can help out with the smaller churches. That gives the churches a chance. It was at one time where everybody was in their own separate silos. And now you can bring the churches together where they can work together. Whether if the smaller church has a need, hopefully the larger churches will come in and help the smaller churches. And that way because we're all going through the pandemic together. This wasn't planned. No one knew what to expect. And so we have to actually, as churches, come together as we have gone through the pandemic, where we used to count footprints. Now we count fingerprints. And so hopefully we can bring those footprints together with the fingerprints, and we can all work together as one, as being the body of Christ.
And let me say something that Ms. Harrison said is that when she's talked about communion, because I thank God for the Facebook. I had a friend of mine up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, seeing me handing the mic, and we normally have the wipes and everything. But he said, Pastor, what you need to do is get you a transmitter and connect it to your board. So every first Sunday we have communion, and they're in their cars. So I do Facebook Live in the church. I come outside and I'm still talking on my mic, and they can hear me in their vehicle. So they never have to get out their cars. The deacons, as they enter through the gate, they receive their communion, and everybody can take communion together while they're sitting in their cars. So again, these are just creative ways. Like I said, it's not the norm anymore. And I think each church is going to be individual as God lead their leader on what God expects or expects for their congregants. And it's no copycats. We can copy some things together from each other, or should I say pattern ourselves, because that's what this ministry is about. I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. So if Pastor Dr. Hassel has something, I'm going to pick up the phone. Hey, Pastor, what are you doing over there? It's no more about, trying to outshine. Look, we're trying to meet needs. Now, that's what ministry means. Minister means one who serves, and ministry means meeting the needs of others. And I think that's where we need to be headed as we move forward.
And Pastor Smith, I'm so glad you said that, because when we look at the dynamic of what it takes, I always say, no matter your size, you can still offer excellent ministry.
Yes,
this is the time where we need to take to look at what we offer as a ministry and how to package that to meet the needs of our constituents. For example, we've had in-person service, and of course we're in Tennessee, which was a hot spot. So as a pastor, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to meet the needs of these individuals. I've got to make sure that I'm present. And the reality was that some of my parishioners, because I service a lot of populations, I service people that are in transitional homes, such as inmates. I serve people that have addictions and things like that. So community is very important for them. So what I decided to do is, because I had a population or several populations that needed community, I had to really plan and look at how can I provide the tactile community that they need. And so as soon as we discovered that, our leadership team went into what it would take to deliver in-person ministry. So if you come to the summit, we have what we call check-in procedures. We also, if you're coming because we have limited seating, you register for service on Eventbrite. But when you come to the physical service, you have your temperature checks, you sign your COVID questionnaire, you have your temperature taken, and you also have your participation waiver. And so these expectations are up front. But in the conjunction, what I did to provide full transparency, because information and awareness can totally abate fear. On our website, we have our comprehensive COVID plan that's actually laid out in detail. That's also posted in the sanctuary where it's visible. Every Sunday, we use what we call the fog method. So we actually sanitize the sanctuary prior to service and
Yeah.
after service, just and letting them see that message. We also actually have like the sanitation certificates from the company that actually does it to provide that extra layer of information. But here's the thing about it. The church, the summit was founded in November. We entered into ministry in February, and the pandemic hit in March. So you can imagine while everybody else was panicking, I was like, thank you, God, for this opportunity
Yeah.
out of the box. So it wasn't a panic. I didn't see it as a panic moment. I saw it as an opportunity. And so when you identify the need, because I had the liberality because the congregation was sort of in the developmental stages, and it started growing because we started making those adjustments. And so when the people were convinced, they were informed, they felt safe, they made those adjustments, and they would come into that community. And I got so many thank yous. It was like, whoo, I'm so glad that I could actually come into a physical sanctuary, feel safe, etc. And then what the momentum was, there were actually people that weren't able to attend physical services elsewhere that wanted to come to church. So we were able to provide community for those who wanted community but didn't have that in their local congregations. And so I always say it like this: it doesn't matter what pasture you graze in, as long as you're fed in, cultivated, and covered. And so they call me the people shepherd, because whoever comes in, you just like one of us, because we're all here for the same reason. And I think when we go to the extra mile to make those adjustments and make those accommodations, it really echoes that we're really serious about doing what we said we were going to do. Because people now, they've shifted to what they see on Sundays. They're looking at that vision statement, that mission statement, and that mandate. And based on what you do in that vision, mission, and mandate, is going to determine whether they partner, sow,
come on through,
or participate in what you have going on. They want to make sure that you're lining up that walk with that talk. So, I encourage everybody on here, like, make full advantage of while we're in this in-between phase, or this place that I call emerging, because the opportunities that we have to extend ourselves as far as pastoral care and touching people are absolutely endless. And it's just going to keep extending itself post-pandemic, because now the cap is taking off what the church used to be, and now we're unfolding into the beauty of everything they can actually become.
Absolutely.
I agree wholeheartedly. Thank y'all so much. I've had so much technical difficulty this evening. I haven't had this much technical difficulty since who knows when, but I'm thankful that I brought together a community of wonderful, phenomenal, spirit-led and spirit-filled people who really have been moving and working in this situation. Some people have not gotten in the bed and crawled under the bed and said, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I don't know what we're going to do, but have really been in the struggle. And I appreciate, I really do. Let me see if there's any other comments. So Minister Karen Dixon Brown says, that is awesome, Dr. Hassel, and thank you for going the extra mile. Kiera Jackson, that is a personal friend of yours, is in. Yes, I love this. Dr. Hassel, you're a hit, okay? And one of my favorites. So in closing, first off, I want to commend you all for all that you're doing. My prayer is that you continue to move forward. I probably will have another gathering of just music ministry people so that they can actually share tools and ideas and resources, because I think the music industry period has totally shifted and changed. And, I've already kind of not exited. I still love it. I'll love music forever, but it's been very, very difficult, because we haven't been able to invite 1,000 people into a room and be able to sell product at the end, and the books the same way. But electronically, virtually, we've been able to continue to move forward, and God has sustained us. So my prayer is that you continue working in ministry as you go. And my prayer is those of you who have been listening in this evening, that you support these ministries. Patricia Harrison and her new single and her project, follow her on social media. Dion D. Norris, you will be able to find him, Soul Boy Productions. Dr. Lisa Lee Williams, she is available as a consultant for churches who and Jackie Clay said, that's my pastor, Dr. Hassel. Oh, come on through. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Give your church shout out. Come on. If nobody else will, shout your own pastor out.
Right.
Shout your own church out. And then Dr. Lisa Lee Williams, she is available to consult with ministries who say, we need a plan. I think we did pretty good, but we need some additional help. The Smiths, they're just retired from their day jobs. They are in ministry full time. So reach out to them in the great state of Texas, and jump on Facebook. He is on consistently Sunday morning and Wednesday. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we're in both environments. I think the in-person, I love it, but in-person is not necessarily going to be safe. I'll do a little of it this year, but not much as I have in the past. And the virtual setting is definitely where I'm going to be. So reach out to these pastors, no matter what your size church is. You can always glean from others. Dr. Hassel is not only a pastor, he is a professor, and he is also, did you tell about the seminary?
No, I did not.
Oh,
My bad.
oops.
I totally
Your apostle's going to be mad at you.
My bishop is going to get me. I have the awesome privilege of serving as the president of the Celebration of Praise School of Ministry and Seminary, under the great exemplary leadership of our Chancellor, Bishop Q.S. Conwell, T.H.D., D.D., Doctor of Divinity, of course. And of course, we call him affectionately the People's Bishop, because he is everywhere and everybody knows him. But the Celebration of Praise School of Ministry and Seminary is a intellectual hub of scholarship, where ministers from all denominations, all walks of life, can come and receive ministerial support, training, on topics needed to be effective, not only in their local settings, but also in any capacity that they serve, which is interdisciplinary in the secular world as well as the ministerial world. You can visit our website at www.copsomas.org. That is www.copsomas.org. And you can visit and find out all about us. We are an accredited institution. Thank the Lord.
Yay.
Amen. Authorized and approved by the Georgia Non-Public Education Commission. And so we're excited about bringing that. You can also view our academic programs as well as our current catalog, which is available all the way on the site. If you have any inquiries beyond that, you can email us directly at copseminary92@gmail.com. That is copseminary92@gmail.com.
Now, they're going to be in the virtual space. So, you have the opportunity to take classes and certifications and licensing and degrees from anywhere in the world. That's a beautiful thing. I know Dr. Hassel would get on a plane, but, not right now. We're not going to send him around the world.
I don't want my bishop to give me. I got to plug his new institute. He developed the new institute. It's called the Q.S. Conwell Innovation and Leadership Institute. It is for pastors who are needing help adapting and managing their current models of ministry. He is providing 12 months of pastoral support and programmatic support, special sessions, $50 for 12 months of support.
Live wow. Oh, yeah, wow.
Because they're factoring in the pandemic. And of course, we know money is a little funny and change is a little strange, but it's all about getting the help that we need. And I want to give him congratulations and kudos for thinking of pastors, not only in the organization, but outside the organization. So if you want to take advantage of the opportunity, you can email us at the email copseminary92@gmail.com, and we will forward you that information in detail about the Institute. Also, you can go to the website. There's also a drop-down bar in our programs that tells you exactly about the Institute. So if you need pastoral support, he has some great speakers lined up, phenomenal speakers that are going to help in this transition state of emerging and whatever type of ministry you have. So that is the QS Conwell Innovation and Leadership Institute. So take full
So you
advantage
can take that that's right there in the right to the comfort of your own home. That is incredible.
via Zoom.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that is awesome. Now that's somebody who has really the people at the heart. You know, when they're thinking about where people are budget wise, financially, and all that good stuff. So. Well, it's been a phenomenal night. Thank you so much for being with me this evening. And thank you so much in all that you all are doing. I know that God is pleased with your work in the kingdom, but we still have more work to do to occupy it until he comes. Thank you all so much. I trust that those that heard us tonight will be blessed and continue to have this ongoing conversation, as well as reach out as a network for resources and information tools so that we can be our best selves, ministry on the next level, and live our best life. You all have a great night. Bye-bye.